All right, part 3. Same thing, we're removing belly wood. We laid out a bow, chased our ring, started removing belly wood, got our handle laid out. This is going to be close to the finish on the handle. Remember these wormholes I talked about in part 2. It's not going to affect the phase of the bow at all. It gives it character in my opinion. I could take these out because it still has plenty of material left right in here for the handle, but I'm gonna leave them because I think it looks really neat. The bow doesn't bend through the handle. It does not start bending until these fades right here. That's where it really starts bending at, and then up here on the top, or this is actually probably gonna be my bottom limb, it bends right here, it starts to bend. So we're gonna leave the wormholes for now. I like them. So yeah, we're gonna start taking some wood off. Another thing too is I went around that knot. It wound up being right here in the center. So I'm gonna leave that in there for character. I can always cut that off later, but for now I'm gonna leave that in there for character because I think it looks really, really cool. I'm not gonna go all the way down to where I wanna be on this, on the belly, because I'm going to recurve the tips, and depending on how far I make it in this part 3, that heating up the tips and bending them might be a part 4. I'm not sure. It just depends on how quickly I can get the belly wood off of this bow. So here we go. Sometimes my shape wants to be a pain in the butt, but it was free. I got this at a bow making event called OJam. Oklahoma Jamboree, where it's a self-bow event. I actually got that given me for free by a friend of mine, and so yeah, it's got a little bit of sentimental value to it. So shaking was here, so I make it work. Now I'm just working out. So whenever I do that, it puts all these little rough spots in here. Try to get this scraper you can see it smooths, it takes all that out of there. Sorry, I got a dirty fingernail, you'll have to look past that. I work full time in the oil field. It seems like dirty fingernails are just part of the lifestyle. So, but yeah, I use this to get all the roughness out of the piece of wood here. The deeper I get into this handle, the prettier, once I get done, I'll show you, it's freaking beautiful. I'll probably do this one off camera just to speed up the video, because you get the idea. But look how freaking pretty this handle is. I mean, it's just gorgeous. Another thing too, when you're doing this, if you do this, your grain will always tell a story. So that point right there, that is basically a growth ring, and then this would be the next growth ring, and then this is the next one, so on and so forth. And all of those lines represent a growth ring. But anyway, you want your V, this ring, dirty fingernail again, you want that to be in the center of your belly. You don't want it to be off center way over here, because that means you'll have more wood over here than you do over here. You want to keep it all center. So like this one right here, looks like it's kind of trying to drift over here to this side. So what I'll do is I'll remove, you can see that little outer kick right there. I can remove that and make it straight to match this side, and it'll be dead center into the middle. And then obviously once you have a knockout knot like this, you just follow around it. But anyways, I will probably pause the video, so I don't have to end it. I'll just pause it, and I will remove wood off this one, and I'll take it to the bandsaw. I left my limbs 1 inch wide up here, so I'm gonna have to narrow those down, but I'll pause the video for now while I get this end done, because this one is starting to bend a little bit. So I'm gonna match it on this side and then narrow my limbs, and then I'll do a little bit of heat correction with the heat gun, recurving these tips. That's a fun part. So I think I'm on part 3 here, but I'm sorry, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I'm on part 3, but all I've been doing is removing belly wood. I've already showed you 15 minutes of that. I took 12 more minutes of it. It's in this video. I didn't think you needed to see any more of it, but where I'm at now is I've shaved enough belly wood off of it to where I could bend it with a heat gun enough to put it on one of my jigs. This is only a half jig, so to speak. It doesn't go down the length of my bow. It just does one limb at a time, but it goes all the way into the handle, and you can see that it puts reflex in it. The bow is basically upside down. The side that's getting the heat from the fire is the belly side. I don't typically do this with Osage. Actually, matter of fact, I don't do this with Osage. I read into this. I done it with a hickory bow, and it worked well. I more so heat treated the hickory bow. I didn't really fire harden it. This one I'm going to try to fire harden. It's going to be my own personal bow, so I'm kind of taking a risk here, but it's a risk that isn't really that big of a deal, and I want to learn how to do this. So basically what you want to do, I've just kind of got a jerry rig going on here, but you want to get your fire hot enough. You don't want an open flame, or it will scorch the wood. It'll burn right through it and char it, so to speak. You want to get it just hot enough to where it doesn't matter how high off you have it, how low you have it, as long as you can put your hand about where the bow's going to be, and you don't want to be able to hold it there for longer than 3 seconds. And I'm right there. I mean, it is very, very hot. I mean, it's about 12 inches probably off the coals there, and it is, I mean, it's hot. So once I get this limb where I like it, I will probably leave it there, let it cool down to room temp. And what I'll do is, before I take that off of there, I will take a wet washcloth with just room temperature water. I'll take a wet washcloth and I will wipe down the belly of the bow. And what that does is it reintroduces moisture into the wood. So basically this fire hardening is taking moisture out of it slowly, and it's heating the fibers of the wood up, and it increases the tensile strength of the wood. I don't know the exact science of it, but it is a proven method on white woods like locust and hickory, oak, ash, so on and so forth. But it works, and it makes a really snappy bow, and it also keeps your reflex more intact in your bow. You don't get as much string follow. But when you do this fire harden, it removes moisture out of the wood. So before I go to tiller it after this process, I don't want to just start bending it, or it could be too brittle to break, too dry. So what I'm going to do once I get it back down to room temp, I'm going to take a wet washcloth, just a room temperature wet washcloth. You don't want to do it with ice cold water. Just do it with room temp water, wipe it down, couple wipes, and what that'll do is that will reintroduce moisture back into the wood. Plus, my shop is not insulated, and it's been raining here for 4 days, and the humidity is super high, and my shop's not insulated, so it's also humid inside the shop. So that will also help reintroduce moisture into the wood. But yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna video the whole thing. I'll probably do the other end off camera. You don't need to see this, but a lot of people, what they do is they'll take one full length jig and do it. I don't have a jig long enough. I've got one that I've made long enough, but it doesn't put enough reflex in it. You can see, I think that jig puts about 1.5 inches of backset in it. But anyways, so that's where we're at. Fire hardening 1 limb at a time right now, and then the next video will probably be part 4. I'm probably going to start my tillering process. So part 3 is probably going to be a short little video here, and then part 4 will be the tillering process. The most important part of making a bow, hands down, is the tiller. If you don't have a good tiller on a bow, you don't have a bow. So but yeah, be looking out for this video, and then especially part 4. That'll be the fun part, tillering the bow, getting it to bend and whatnot. Oh, I have put nocks in this. Just, these are temporary nocks. They could be permanent. I haven't got them very deep, but I just put temporary nocks in it. That way, once I do get to that point, I've got something I can tiller with. So anyways, there you go. Be looking out for part 4.